Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we'll be doing another class on the series of classes of Virgo ascendant and Mercury in the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Mercury also in Virgo, the same sign as the ascendant, and so it makes a person a very strong Virgo personality because he or she, they have the two main points of the chart in the same sign. So that compounds the Virgo nature. So all the Virgo characteristics all tend to be accentuated. The Virgo is, like we always say, it's connected with the sixth house. It wants to help people. It very strong desire and need to help other people. The Virgo by nature is very, very. What can we say about a Virgo? Virgo, first of all, is. Virgos can be very nervous by nature. They have a tendency towards nervous problems, right? They can get, it rules, Mercury and Virgo, they're strongly connected with the nervous system. And so it can make problems with, excessive worry. One of the problems with the Virgo, really, one of their main problems is excessive worry. They worry a lot. They have a tendency towards anxiety and different things like that. And so they always have to worry about it, especially if it's pronounced, like you'll have both of those planets there. But it's going to make a person tremendously intelligent when they have... Virgo is a mental sign. It's connected with the mind, and so is Mercury. Mercury is the planet of mental thinkings, of the thinking processes. And when it's in Virgo, it's an excellent mind, very practical knowledge, very good reasoning powers. And when you have Mercury in the first house, it's also coming from the career house. In a Virgo ascendant, you got Gemini in the 10th. So you have the ruler of the 10th, the career in the first. So the person's going to be excellent in career. In career, it's going to bring him a wide variety of options for what kind of career he'll take on, but he'll be very, very successful, unless it's severely afflicted for some reason. The ruling planet or the ascendant. But you have the ruling planet is in honor, and so when you have the ruling planet in honor ruling the two main points, the first, the ascendant, and the 10th house, it means the person is going to be very highly respected by people. People are going to think a lot of him, right, or her, right? When you have this good planet, this good Mercury in honor on the ascendant ruling. The person will have a lot of people supporting him, a lot of people backing him or her, and they'll push him or her forward in their career, and they'll be very respected by society. It's an excellent combination. I see lots of people. I know a number of people with this combination, and they're all quite successful. I had a client, big rabbi, I think in the Reform movement or the Conservative movement. He has this combination, very successful man. I have a son who has this, also very successful boy. He's young now, but until now he's been unusually successful. I just know a lot of people who have this aspect, and it's very nice. Tonight we'll do a chart. Tonight I want to do a chart of somebody who has this aspect. He was one of the top inventors, actually, in American history. He's got, he had in his lifetime hundreds of patents. He was an engineer, he was an inventor, an engineer by training. He was a businessman also. He became very wealthy because of his inventions. He became a philanthropist as he got older because of all the money he had. I know where I live in New York. My parents live in New York, where I grew up. right across the street from us, this large building, large hospital for cancer research, the Sloan Kettering Cancer Research Center, is there, and he built it. His name was Charles Kettering, and he built this cancer research center to try to find cures for cancer. And so he was, all in all, he was a very unusual man, very unusually successful also. If we look at his chart, you'll see he has Virgo rising, Cancer on the ascendant, Mercury on the ascendant, and he gets a beautiful aspect from the moon, the moon in Capricorn, and from Pluto in Taurus. So it's it's like what we call a grand trine, and so the Mercury is very, very adaptable type of mind, very fast mind, right? When you have it connected to the moon. And Pluto adds tremendous depth and willing to try new things. And so he was a beautiful Mercury, right? The Mercury only gets, as far as I can see here, it looks like it only gets good aspects, and it also gets a nice aspect from Venus, also a nice sextile from, almost an exact sextile from Venus in Cancer. So it gets and also a nice sextile from Jupiter, almost exact sextile. So his Mercury is unusually powerful. It gets tight sextiles from Venus and Jupiter, tight trines from the Moon and Pluto. Very, very powerful. 4 planets making very tight aspects to the Moon. To Mercury. And by sign, he has the Sun and Mars also in Virgo. And Mercury is on the ascendant in the first house, so it works. The Mercury is working 100%. So he had a tremendously brilliant man here. Very business oriented with the moon in Capricorn, right? All the Virgo on the ascendant. He knew how to take his inventions and turn them into gold mines. He was the man who actually. He worked for General Motors, and he was the man who discovered the I forget what it's called, the electric starter system for automobiles. You know, where you put the key in and turn the key, and that starts the automobile, starts the motor running. Before that, you used to have to go outside and crank up open up the hood and crank up the engine. And, you know, it wasn't for everybody that it sort of made. So his invention, it actually made the automobile accessible almost to everybody. It was a tremendous invention in his time. And he also had actually was the first man to make missiles. He discovered how to make missiles. He made the first missile. I forget the story behind that, and he invented the method for painting automobile cars. Among other things, he had like 200 major patents, and he's a very, very successful man. I just want to touch on one other point while we're looking at his chart. One other point, even though it's not connected to the so much to the Virgo, to the Mercury, I want to look at his Sun for a second. He's also got the Sun on the ascendant, and if you look closely, the Sun is tightly conjunct Mars, and it's opposite to Saturn, the two malefics. In his chart, it's not so bad because he's got the Sun-Saturn opposition broken up by the Moon. That's one thing I want to talk about. If you have an opposition, it's less difficult if you have a third planet that breaks it up in a positive way. So if you look at his chart, he's got the Moon 120 degrees, exactly 120 degrees from the Sun, and 60 degrees from Saturn, which helps break up. The opposition are like two enemies, and the third planet can sort of bring peace between them. You know, each one will respect the other person instead of being in continual turmoil. And what I want to talk about here is when you have the Sun in the first house, it can tend, if it's afflicted, it can cause eye trouble, right? The Sun and the Moon, the lights are the eyes, right? The Sun and the Moon, more particularly the Sun has the rulership over the eyes. And so when you have the sun especially in the first house, and if you look at his chart, it's coming from the 12th house, right? He's got Leo on the 12th house cusp, with the sun in the first house in Virgo, and opposite and conjunct Mars, opposite Saturn, the two malefics. So he as a child, he had severe eye troubles. I think he had to miss 1 year of schooling because of his eye troubles, and he had to take most of his life, he had to take like really, really good care of his eyes. And so he was lucky, though, that he kept his vision, and I think he wore very heavy glasses, but he managed to keep his vision. So that's just one point I want to make, that you always look, if you see like a sun in the first house, look at the aspects. If it's severely afflicted, you can always ask the person if they have eye trouble. And I thank everybody for listening to the class.